Ice on the prize. Pokemon protesters press for an end to coal power. More nations are signing up to ditch the filthy fossil fuel. Is this really the beginning of the end of the coal era? In today's Top 5. Welcome to Know This COP26 edition. I'm Alejandro Alba in Glasgow, where Pikachu has been causing a spark in a day full of energy talk. Let's count down and get to the biggest stories you need to know. Starting at number 4, a Pikachu of protesters are using the center of attention at COP26, demanding that Japan phase out of coal power by 2030. This bright yellow Pokemon made a quick attack, traveling all the way from Japan to Glasgow to get their message out.
Japanese government doesn't have any plans to phase out coal domestically. It's against climate pledge and it's against climate science.
Their battle is a huge one. Japan has been evading the global trend to use an emergency exit and quit using coal, which is the dirtiest source of electricity. The nation is even making a dash to build more coal-burning power plants, which many find pretty stunning coming from such an advanced economy. The reliance on coal is largely due to the Fukushima nuclear disaster 10 years ago that forced Japan to close its nuclear power program. At number 3, one of the most passionate voices emerging from COP26, Kenyan activist Elizabeth Wathuti wants world leaders to really listen to the dire consequences that climate change is having on Africa.
Please open your hearts. If you allow yourself to feel it, the heartbreak and the injustice is hard to bear.
While Africa is one of the largest continents least responsible for global emissions, it suffers the most from the consequences of global warming. Wathuti tells NowThis, a large part of the problem in fighting climate change is that Africa is largely left out of the conversation.
Even when we are given the platforms as voices from the global south, we're still being erased, or what's being left out and what we are trying to put forward still not being given the biggest amplification or reaching to people. And I think that is the biggest problem. We need to get to a point where we don't have to fight for representation.
At just 26 years old, Wathuti is the founder of Green Generation Initiative, which has planted 30,000 fruit trees in Kenya that she hopes will help feed the millions of Kenyans facing starvation. But she worries that one day those trees will not survive if the planet keeps getting hotter.
The leaders have failed us in the past. They are still failing us right now. But if they continue to fail us, we the young people are going to make change happen by ourselves.
At number 2, South Africa is facing a new deal to end its reliance on coal. The nation will receive nearly $9 billion to begin a gradual phase out of coal, which it uses to generate electricity. South Africa is more heavily dependent on coal than most nations.
There are 12 coal-fired power stations in the Mpumalanga area in South Africa. And these are some of the world's biggest power stations. You're talking about, in excess of 4,000 megawatts. These power stations do not have the pollution control mechanisms on because they were developed in the old apartheid system.
There are hundreds of thousands of people who work in the mines to survive. The toll on human health is staggering. One recent study found more than 5,000 South Africans die each year in the country's coal belt due to toxic air.
Mntanami angeke aphile isikhathi eside because of lapha mayini. Lokho kona kuyanginikeza ukuthuka. Ukuthi anytime angafa noma yini ngalesi mali.
Relatively speaking, the money pledged at COP is just the beginning, as some estimate the transition to clean energy in South Africa will cost up to $60 billion. And at number 1, quitting coal. 77 nations say they'll shift away from the filthy fossil fuel, but when all the coal dust settles, will these pledges really work? While the headline is hopeful,
today, I think we can say that the end of coal is in sight.
Skeptics are quick to point out some glaring gaps which let some of the biggest coal polluters off the hook for now. That includes the US, China, Australia, and India, who did not sign on to give up coal. And for those that did, the pledge is non-binding, so there really isn't a way to enforce them to do so. Developing countries will need billions of dollars to phase coal out, which basically comes down to wealthy countries paying them to do what they won't do at home. Jennifer Lakey is the global director for the energy program at the World Resource Institute. She tells NowThis the transition away from coal will be challenging.
It takes time, and people have to be retrained, and you have to have ways to bring people into the clean energy economy. So you can't just shut things down without a plan to help people manage that transition.
India, Indonesia, and the Philippines will join South Africa as the first recipients of the multi-billion-dollar program to accelerate their transition from coal to clean energy. That's today's top news. What was the biggest story for you? Tell me in the comments below. And make sure to follow Now This Earth for more COP26 news. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more news you need to know.